Joining me now is my mentor's son, former Congressman of Illinois and running again, Jesse Jackson Jr. Jesse, that was you and your siblings introducing your father as a presidential candidate at the 1988 Democratic Convention in Atlanta. America knows your father's impact on politics and culture. But what did you and your siblings see in him that the public maybe didn't?
Reverend Sharpton, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your program. Reverend Jackson was a special kind of a person. He was an amazing father, one that you have to view not only subjectively as a parent, but also objectively because of what he meant to our community and what he meant around the world. And so to live in Jesse Jackson Sr.'s home on any given Saturday, Michael Jackson might stop by on any given Saturday.
There's some noise in the background. Go ahead.
In any given Saturday, he might, Earth, Wind, and Fire might be in the neighborhood, or the Spinners. Any given Saturday, Daniel Ortega or Nelson Mandela might be at the Jackson home. On any given Saturday, presidential candidates might stop by to see Reverend Jackson and commune with our family. And so to grow up in his house, we knew that he was special. But the great challenge, of course, is to view Dad not only as Dad, but to see him as Reverend, to see him as the work that he was doing in our community and the extraordinary legacy that he continued in the wake of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination as a young student who was 25 years old when he met Dr. King and 28 years old when he was assassinated. And for him to carry on for the decades that he did globally, but also domestically and fighting for the right to vote, I have to associate myself, Reverend Sharpton, with the numbers that Hakeem Jeffries spoke of in terms of the numbers of African Americans who were in Congress when Reverend Jackson came into this work and the number of African Americans who are in Congress and in the Senate today. It gives you some sense of just how hard he worked and ultimately his campaigns and his continued advocacy for voter registration did for our people.
Let me play to you the introduction I referred to in Atlanta at the Democratic Convention when you and your siblings introduced him.
I have shared in this generation in following the leadership and vision of Jesse Jackson. Indeed, my father has given to me what I think is the most valuable gift. He has put confidence back in the belief that all dreams can be achieved.
He's given us inspiration in a new direction. His campaign of odds breaking has taught me and my peers, the leaders of the 21st century, the real meaning of democracy. We all can rise from the valley and get to the mountaintop.
To many, he is a hero. To us, he is also our father. Our father has taught us well. From him, we have learned that when confronted with challenge and controversy, we must stand up for the things that we believe in, because in the final analysis, truth will always prevail. And if we do our best, God will do the rest.
If I could vote, I'd vote for my dad. He has made a difference.
You followed in his footsteps, dedicating your life to activism and politics, your siblings as well. What values did your father instill in you and your brothers and sisters?
Well, let me first begin by saying that the first person that you heard was my brother Jonathan Jackson, today United States Congressman from the 1st Congressional District of Illinois. Secondly, you heard from my brother, my sister, Santita, and from Jackie. You heard from me as well, once a member of Congress from the 2nd Congressional District of Illinois. But Reverend Al, it was also Dad, but your leadership was extremely important too, because you were like a son to my father as well. And he so respected your leadership, not only your civil rights advocacy, but when you ran for president and recognized that millions of people needed to be registered to vote to keep the rightward drift that is taking place in our country from happening. And so in no small measure, we had an extended family, extended brothers and sisters, and where Dad wasn't, you were always present, and others were also very present. He was very proud of your work, and he's certainly very proud of the efforts of Jonathan and Yusef, who now runs the Rainbow Push Coalition, Santita, who has a singing career, my sister Jackie, who was an amazing caregiver. All of us learned about caregiving during this process. And Reverend Al, it would behoove me to say that when I think about Dad's activism and even the final days of his life, when we think about caregiving, there are 63 million Americans who are now making adjustments to their lives to care for an aging senior parent. These people are not even part of the Affordable Care Act. How we provide for our caregivers, according to some conservative estimates, $550 billion a year is not even being discussed. Liberally, that's about $625 billion. If I were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to return to Congress, I would certainly fight for a Caregivers Protection Act. They need incentives to provide for their loved ones in ways that the hospitals, that the insurance companies, others do not. And we need to close this gap between those who need care that we love, matter, and recognize the government of the United States has an obligation to recognize that there is a huge bubble of these Americans moving through the system. They deserve civil rights protection too, Reverend Al, and we're counting on your leadership to make that a reality.
Now, Jesse Jackson was always a man of action and vision and drive. For those at home watching, those who both knew him or just learning about his profound legacy today, what would he want us to do to carry on his legacy, and how can those without his platform and megaphone of access do what can they do and do from wherever they are?
Reverend Sharpton, your life, my life, and even their lives, those to whom I am addressing right now, their lives are in time. No one can choose the star in which they are born. We are all in time. Reverend Sharpton is in time. Jesse Jackson Jr. is in time. Reverend Jesse Jackson was in his time, but he was in his time over time. And what we do in our time projects a period and a vision forward for all time, because we respond to the issues that confront us at this hour. The midterm elections, as you so carefully articulated, are some